Good. My name's Chris. I turn 30 this March. For my birthday, I am going to run an ultra marathon. Just for clarification, an ultra marathon is any race that's longer than a marathon. So in this case, I will be running a 50-kilometer race, which is almost 31 miles. Also, for the record, the longest I've ever run is 14 miles. And that was for a half marathon back in 2013, which I didn't train for. Which I finished in a little over 2 hours, but then I couldn't stand up for the next 4 days. So here's the plan. I want to run this race because I'm going to be a father. My wife is going to have a baby in April. She also turns 30 in April, so it's pretty cool. But I want to show them that you can do anything that you put your mind to, even if you're not a running pro. You see, the whole reason I got into running was to help me deal with my depression. I've had depression my entire life, and I didn't know it. My therapist told me, based off some of the stories of my childhood, of the anxiety I've had my entire life, the OCD I've had, ruminating thoughts I've had, the darkest moments I've had, I'm not proud of. Let me start back a little bit. My wife and I got married in 2016. God, I'm so lucky to marry her. She's my best friend. The first year of marriage, they say, is the hardest, and in our case, it was hard, but not because she did anything wrong or because of financial struggles or any of the things that happen usually. It was because I was angry. I was angry and I didn't know why. I was angry all the time. We could have a great moment and then 5 minutes later, I'd yell about something. I'd yell at this beautiful woman who loved me for all my imperfections. And it got to the tipping point where one day she told me that if I didn't go to therapy and get help, our marriage was over. So I did. I went to therapy. And I was told there that I had severe anxiety and depression, which I was aware of. But for the first time in my life, I was talking to someone about it. Actually talking about it. Actually telling the person how I was feeling. Not what I wanted them to hear, but what was important for them to hear. The truth. And it's not always easy to say those things, especially if you're concerned about what others think, which I don't think you should be, but that's how I was. So I started to go to therapy, and she told me to go on antidepressants, and I said no, because one time in college I had tried antidepressants when I was in a depressive slump, and it numbed everything. I wanted to cry, and I couldn't cry. I missed feeling emotions. So I went off my antidepressants, and I spiraled really far down. I had suicidal thoughts. It's crazy to admit that, but I did, and I didn't tell anyone. Instead, I would drink by myself and not tell anyone. I did that for a long time. In fact, I brought that into most social settings through college, where I drank to the point where I would black out. That carried on to most awkward social situations post-college and into marriage. And coming from a family where drinking seems to be a problem, I probably should have realized that. I was doing all the things my therapist told me to do. I was exercising. I always exercised. It's something I loved doing. I was meditating. I was quieting my mind. I ate well. Being a fit person and being aware of nutrition, and also being a type 1 diabetic, I've always tried to eat well. And yet I'm doing all these things. I'm outside, and my wife and I got a dog so I could go out and be social and walk the dog during the day and meet new people. I was doing everything that you were supposed to do, and yet here I was still feeling less than. Still feeling like I was going to crumble and fall apart. In fact, it got to the point in 2017 where I had a bad depression episode. My wife came home and found me in a ball in my office on the floor, paralyzed with fear. I didn't really know if I was going to make it. After that, I started taking antidepressants, and believe it or not, they worked. Here I am. I mean, of course, everyone has off days, and I still have off days, but I'm able to talk about how I'm feeling now, and now meditation and things like that work, and being present works, and I was looking for the next thing. So I started, on a friend's suggestion, going for runs. And in the past, I hated running. I thought it was one of the dumbest things you could do. I thought you were going to break your body from doing it. But turns out I was wrong. Everything in moderation, right? So I would run on the roads, and then I got this crazy idea to go on a trail. A trail run by my house. We're very lucky to have a bunch of fantastic places to go around where we live, and I don't know if it was the fresh air, I don't know if it was the fact that I was surrounded by all this wildlife, but I felt at home. I felt like I could stay out there for days on end. It's almost time for my birthday. Got a couple more months. And my hope is to run this ultra marathon, to survive it, to figure things out along the way, and to bring you along with me. That's right. I want you to come along with me as I go through everything. As I go through the running, as I go through the aches and pains, as I learn a little bit more about depression and anxiety along the way. Because my goal is to bring awareness and to raise money for suicide prevention. Because I know we talk about it quite a bit, and by we, I mean the internet. But I don't think enough people are honest about it. And I think talking about it is one of the best ways to save yourself, to save a friend, a loved one. That's it. That's the goal. We're going for 30 by 30. That is what I am going to call this. I just decided right now. So I'm happy to have you here with me, and I'll be starting soon. So let's see how it goes.